boys and girls. It's story time again. And because it's raining outside today, I chose a story that's about rain. And the book is called The Christopher Church Mouse Treasury. And we have a Bible verse today. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Ephesians 6:1. So our story is entitled Rainy Day Rescue. Christopher Church Mouse watched the rain come down. Would it ever stop, he thought. What a day. There's nothing to do. Mama, what can we do, he asked. Why don't you go outside and play, said Mama Church Mouse. It isn't raining very hard. Get one of your cousins to play with you. All right, said Christopher, grabbing his coat and hat. But Christopher, listen to me. You may play outside in the puddles, but don't go in the storm sewer. That is very dangerous. Yes, Mama, I'll remember, said Christopher, and out the door he went. Soon Ted and Christopher were sloshing around in the yard in their little boots, making the water splash. Hey, we should have done this sooner. This is lots of fun, said Ted. Yeah, said Christopher. I'm glad Mama thought of it. After a while, Ted said to Christopher, Hey, look over here. He was on the curb at the side of the street, peeking down into the storm sewer. No, Ted, we better not go over there. My mama said that's a dangerous place for a mouse. She said not to go off the curb. Aw, come on, said Ted, taking a jump and landing smack in the middle of a long puddle that ran along the curb. Hey, Christopher, this is really neat. Christopher took one look and thought, well, Mom said not to go into the sewer. She didn't say we couldn't play by it. And so, taking a big jump, he landed beside Ted. This is really fun, cried Christopher. Suddenly, Christopher shouted, This water's getting deeper. Nah, it's just your imagination. Look, it's raining harder now, said Christopher. Maybe we should go back in the house. No, said Ted. We're just starting to have fun. Come on. If the little mice could have seen the muddy, rushing water coming towards them, they would have jumped out and headed for home, but they couldn't see it. All of a sudden, they heard a great roar. What's that noise? It sounds like a train, said Christopher. At that instant, muddy brown wall of water smacked them full force. Hey, what is it? Where did that water come from, said Ted. I don't know. Help me, said Christopher. I'm falling. I can't, shouted Ted. The water is carrying me. What's happening? The water rushed along, getting deeper and deeper. Christopher had all he could to hold his head up above the water. We're going to drown, Ted, screamed Christopher. So if you can grab something. There's nothing to grab. We're going down the storm sewer, yelled Ted. Oh no, squealed Christopher as he was sweeping over into the blackness. Help, help, Mama, Papa. But Mama and Papa could not hear. Ted, where are you? I can't see you. I can't see you either. I'm over here, said Ted, trying to keep his head above the water. Oh, Christopher, I'm so scared. Don't worry, Ted. Try not to be frightened, said Christopher. All of a sudden, the boys landed upon something very hard. They had dropped onto a little shelf of broken sewer tile. At that moment, they saw a tiny glimmering light moving towards them. Christopher, what's that light? I don't know. Just be quiet. The boys' eyes were round with fear as they saw something coming towards them, and it was a pack of the biggest rats they had ever seen. They were terribly mean-looking, and one was carrying a lantern. Well, what do we have here, said the leader, looking at these tiny mice babies. They ought to be good for some fun, said one big rat. Who are they, whispered Ted. Water rats, I think, said Christopher. They live here in the sewer. Coming closer, the leader of the pack stepped up and said, Where did you sweet little things come from? We were washed down the sewer. Ha 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 ha, laughed the big rat. Did you hear that, rats? They were washed down the sewer. Didn't your mama tell you not to play near the storm sewer? Yes, yes, sir, but we, ha ha ha, you didn't obey your mama, did ya? No, we didn't. Oh, that's the first step, becoming mean, ugly sewer rats like we are, right? Right, chorused the rats. Well, now that you're here with us, they can be our little servants, can't they? What we mean is that you can come and run errands, do everything for us, and pretty soon you'll grow up to be just as mean as we are. We'll be back, and then we'll have some fun things for you to do. And the rats laughed. Oh, no, said Christopher. Oh, Christopher, I'm so scared, said Ted. Whatever will we do? We can't get out of here. It will be all right, said Christopher, with a bravery that he did not feel. His eyes became accustomed to the darkness. Christopher saw that the little shelf of broken tile left them no room to spare. There was no way for them to get out. They were trapped. Oh, why didn't I obey my mama, moaned Christopher. It's all my fault, said Ted. You didn't want to go down into the street to play. I know, but I shouldn't have listened to you. Mama told me it was dangerous, and I should have obeyed. Well, no use thinking about that, said Ted. They sat down and soon Ted fell asleep on Christopher's shoulder. Christopher sat staring into the dark, wondering if it would be the end of his life. All of a sudden, Christopher heard a scratching sound. Oh, what is that, he thought in fear. Ted, wake up. There's a noise, listen. Maybe it's the rats coming back, stammered Ted. I don't think so. That noise is behind us. It's different than the noise the rats made, said Christopher. The scratching got closer and closer. The boys huddled together. Is that you, Christopher? Said a scratchy, familiar voice. Murky? Said Christopher. Is that you, Murky? It's Murky Mole, he squealed. Where are you, Murky? I can't see you. Here I am, said Murky, as he nosed his way through the soft dirt right where Christopher and Ted were sitting. I dug down here to get you, said Murky. How did you know where we were? I watched you boys going down into the street to play, and I thought to myself that you shouldn't be down there, said Murky. And I knew about this little shelf. I thought you might have landed here. Oh, Murky, you were right. Mama told us not to play in the street, but we did, and a wall of water washed us down here, and some awful rats came. I know, said Murky, and the rats will be back soon. If we don't get out of here now, you'll be their prisoners. We must go. But Murky, how do we do it? I'm a mole, said Murky proudly. I can tunnel underground. Christopher looked at his cousin Murky, who was covered with dirt. He remembered that he used to make fun of Murky because he preferred to be underground. Christopher felt ashamed. He knew Murky was being very kind. I'll get you out, said Murky, if I make the tunnel big enough. If I didn't, I'll just make it bigger. Oh, Murky, this is wonderful of you, said both mice. No problem for a mole, said Murky proudly. Let's go. Christopher, grab hold of my tail, and then Ted, you grab hold too. Follow me. All set, shouted Christopher. It's going to be tough climbing. I know you guys aren't moles. I'll go as slowly as I can. Then they began the long climb back up through the earth. The soil got into the eyes and the fur of the little mice. They seemed to be climbing for hours. Suddenly Ted said, Christopher, look, there's a light up ahead. We're almost out, said Murky. Oh, Murky, thank you. You're wonderful, said Christopher. Think nothing of it, said the mole, pushing ahead. As they crawled through the hole, squinting at the bigger light, Christopher was astonished to see his whole family standing there in the rain. Mama, Papa, how did you know where we were? Said Christopher. Murky told us, said Mama. He told us so that we wouldn't worry. We knew he was going after you. Oh, Mama, said Christopher, sobbing. I'm so sorry. Aunt Nutsie and Uncle Tootsie were hugging Ted and trying to brush the mud and dirt off his face. Mama took her handkerchief and wiped Christopher's face. Oh, Christopher, why did you disobey me? Do you know that it's a miracle you didn't drown? If Murky hadn't seen you, none of us would have known where to look for you. I know, Mama, sobbed Christopher. I'm so sorry I disobeyed. Are you going to paddle me? No, said Mama, not now. We'll talk later. I think you probably have enough for one day. I'm so glad you're safe, said Papa, giving Christopher's paw a squeeze. Me too, said Christopher, and I hope you've learned your lesson about obedience. Oh, I have, Papa. I've learned that when Mama says not to do something, it's not because she wants to spoil my fun. It's because she really has a good reason. That's right, Christopher, said Papa. You must learn to obey even when you don't understand. Papa went to Murky and shook his paw. We can't ever thank you enough, Murky. And with that, Mama and Papa took their cold, wet little mouse home. Christopher Church Mouse had learned a lot about obedience. He also learned what not to do on a rainy day. Well, and I hope that you remember when Mom and Dad tell us something, it's for our good too. Thanks for listening. See you later.